Every team, every topic, everywhere. This is Believe.
Looking for these better days.
It is Wednesday, August 12th. I'm Scott Seidenberg. Here's what you need to know to make today a better day. The Minnesota Vikings make their quarterback decision, and it's the right one. The FedEx Cup playoffs get underway tomorrow, and we continue our 32 in 32 NFL team previews with today's team, the New York Giants. David Behrman joins me on this episode of Better Day, presented by FanDuel, as he will each and every Wednesday morning on the pod. You can listen to the Betting with Behrman podcast, available wherever you get your pods, and check out the newsletters as well on BehrmanBets.com. David, we're going to get into football. We'll get into the Kyler Murray decision by Minnesota, but the FedEx Cup playoffs get underway tomorrow, and this is your bread and butter, is betting the PGA Tour. How excited are you for the playoffs here? And tell the audience a little bit about the format change and what can we expect over the next couple of weeks?
Yeah, I mean, the regular season is done and behind us. We had a good, profitable regular season betting the field this year. We're down to 3 events. And this started about 2 years ago where they knocked it down to 70. The top 70 in the FedEx Cup standings, not the world rankings. Top 70 in the FedEx Cup rankings, that's who's in the field this week. In fact, there's 69 because somebody withdrew with an injury. Everybody else is done. They're going to go play the fall season. Top 70 players, and only the top 50 will move on next week to the BMW Championship. And then after that, it's the top 30, as usual, at the Tour Championship at Eastlake in Atlanta. And, I've never been a huge fan of the way they've set up the playoff system, especially years ago when you could have a guy win the event, but someone else win the FedEx Cup. We saw that with Tiger and Justin Rose. And then one year we saw someone win the first 2 playoff events and didn't have to play the rest of the way. What they have now is as good as it's going to get until they blow this whole thing up 2 years from now and start from scratch, which we know they're going to do. So you got 70 guys left. It's the 70 top golfers right now on the tour. And it's anybody's game because you can play your way into the top 50 and you can play your way into the top 30. And the new rule starting last year was you win the Tour Championship, you win the FedEx Cup. That's what Tommy Fleetwood did. So it's an exciting time. We got 3 events left, and then you look back, and next thing you know, it's Hawaii in January.
Yeah, it'll be here before we know it. So let's talk about the first event that is coming up here tomorrow, and that is the FedEx St. Jude Championship in Memphis, Tennessee. Tell me about the course, TPC Southwind, and how it's going to affect your betting card.
It's your typical TPC positional course where you got to get and hit your drives in the fairway to get your long approaches to the green. It's not an overly long course, but with 11 water hazards out there, as we all know, water can absolutely kill you around. You got to be positional and get it off the tee. So I'm looking at driving accuracy over driving distance. The water takes away the distance where you just bomb it out there and hope you survive. Long irons are big here at this event, as are putting, because it's Bermuda grass, which is very, very similar to what they see in Florida. So I'm looking for guys that are really, really good tee to green specialists, guys who can putt on Bermuda grass, pretty much guys who play well in Florida. You also have to keep in mind it's going to be in the mid to high 90s as it is in this entire country. So it's going to be hot down there in Memphis. This is really setting up very similar to how it sets up at Jack's course at the TPC down there, the Honda Classic, or the TPC Sawgrass in Jacksonville. So I'm looking at guys that not only play down there well, but guys who have played here well before. And I'm starting with Hideki Matsuyama, who I got at 33-1 at one point. Now he's down to 22-1, so I'm glad I got him where he is. He's one of the hotter golfers on tour that hasn't won. He finished 7th in Greensboro last week. It was his 3rd straight top 10 finish and his 5th straight top 15. Nobody else has 5 straight top 15s. He's also played incredibly well at this specific course, winning it in 2024 and losing in a playoff in 2021 and finished 17th last year. If you're to look at shots gained for this course all time, Hideki Matsuyama is your leader. He's also gained shots on approach in 5 of the last 6 events and 11 of 14. The one thing he hasn't done is win this year. But if he's going to do it, it's going to be on a course like TPC Southwind, and I like him. I got him at 33-1. I see him at 20 to 25-1 right now at FanDuel, so he's going to be my first play off the board.
Yeah, I was just checking. 25-1 currently up on FanDuel. Your favorite to win the event, no surprise, Scotty Scheffler plus 480, Rory plus 1,300, Cam Young 20-1, along with Sam Burns, Xander Schauffele as well 20-1, and then Colin Morikawa plus 2,200. You and I have spoken about Cam Young before. We talked about Cam Young as far as maybe placing a wager on someone to win the entire FedEx Cup, right? Why do you like Cam Young so much going into these playoffs? And is he the right fit to win this event starting tomorrow?
I'm not going to play him on my card this week, even though I absolutely think he could win the entire FedEx Cup. So it would be a bet that's worth it because he's going to be here all 3 weeks. He's going to make the Tour Championship regardless of what he does this week and next week. So really, at the end of the day, he just has to win in Atlanta, and I think the Atlanta course is good for him. I'm not betting him this week because he putted beyond bad last week. This is a guy made the cut on the number, made a little bit of a run on Saturday, and then went right back on Sunday because he couldn't make a putt. And that has been his MO. When Cam Young putts well, he's going to win Doral. He's going to win the Players Championship. He's going to finish runner-up at the British and U.S. Opens. That's the Cam Young that we've seen this year. When Cam Young isn't putting well, he had 4 straight events in the middle of the year where he failed to crack the top 25. You look at him again last week. So I'd like to see him make some putts this week and maybe get a top 10 or a top 20 so I can play him in Chicago and I can play him in Atlanta. But he is someone I'm keeping an eye on because when he putts well, he's going to win every single event.
Yeah. How about the youngster Jackson Koivin, who just barely made this field with his performance last week? He became it's the second fewest starts in a season for a golfer to make the FedEx Cup playoffs, one shy of what Tiger Woods did when he was coming back from an injury-shortened season for him. But Jackson Koivin, top 10 right now on FanDuel. All he has to do is finish in the top 10, and that includes ties. Plus 310. You get north of plus $3 on the 21-year-old to finish T10. What do you think of that wager?
The reason why I like that wager is simply because if Jackson Koivun wants to play next week in Chicago, he has to finish third or better to get into the top 50. I did the numbers myself on Monday when I was on Sportsline. I said that's the story to watch. He made it at number 70 to get up to number 50, and this is not counting what anybody else around him does. You know that math goes, wayward once you start trying to figure out who does what. Top 3 or better will get him to the second playoff event. So if he's going to get there, it's going to be a top 10 because he needs third or better. You could also middle that, get 7, get 6. He doesn't go on, you win the bet. So I do like it. I was a little disappointed in his weekend because I thought he had a good chance to finish in the top 10, which is where we had him last week. Tailed off on Sunday, and you don't know if it's getting a little bit too big for him because now we're talking big-time events, an event to get into the playoff, and now it's an event to get to the next playoff event. So we're no longer just playing regular events. Like his tournament, his season is on the line this week, but he has the talent to get it done. So he is somebody that I'm monitoring as well.
Yeah, when a player like that, it's like boom or bust maybe, because you can see him being maybe extra aggressive, knowing, hey, you know what, on this par 5, I have to reach the green in 2. I have to be able to putt eagle, as opposed to maybe playing it conservatively, and that could go one of 2 ways. You could put a monster score up, or it could blow up in your face, and you wind up being on the bottom of the board.
I'm also going to look at him in day-to-day matchups, depending on who he gets matched up with, because it could be a situation where, let's just hypothetically say that Jackson is paired up with, I don't know, a Tommy Fleetwood or a Scotty Scheffler, a guy who doesn't need to win to move on to next week. And you have Koivin who needs to win to get on. One might be playing a lot more aggressively. At the end of the day, they all want to win. But Scotty Scheffler could WD the next 2 weeks and he would still get to Eastlake. So he's got that spot reserved. Obviously, you want to win as much as you can. So watch the matchups as well. And a couple other guys I'm looking at. Tommy Fleetwood last year at this event had the lead. Back 9 on Sunday. It was going to be his first PGA Tour win. And in Tommy Fleetwood fashion, watched it slip away. Justin Rose stole it from him. But it wasn't the only time that he's played well there. He has 2 top 3s in the last 3 years. The only one in the field who's done that. He's played very well here. And even though he hasn't had the big season that we expected out of him after he won the FedEx Cup last year, he's also finished in the top 15 in 5 of the last 8 starts. So he's 20-1, but I also like him in a top 10 finish near 2-1. And we talked about it last week on your show. Tom Kim, hot name, was on him last week. He cashed us a top 10 and almost won the event. I know you were watching on Sunday like I was.
Yep.
Watch for Tom Kim. I think Tom Kim could be someone who wins this entire thing.
Hey, listen. Can you hear that? That silence is the sound of a $3,000 vet bill because you don't have Lemonade pet insurance. Your dog just snuck away to swallow your phone charger, which will land him at the vet. Thankfully, Lemonade Pet could save you up to 90% on vet bills. And the earlier you sign up, the more it could cover for your puppy or kitten. But in the meantime, if you hear this, you should probably go check on what your puppy is up to. Get a quote at lemonade.com/pet.
Baseball fans, think you know who's hitting a homer today? Well, FanDuel is giving you a free chance to call your shot with Daily Dingers. Joining the action's easy. Just make your free pick on who's hitting a home run in their game. And if you're right, you'll get a profit boost to use on your next bet for a chance at extra winnings. You've got nothing to lose and a lot to gain. And don't forget, you can make a free pick every day during MLB season. It's just another way FanDuel is home for home runs. So, are you ready to play your game today? Join all the action at FanDuel.com/Believe. That's FanDuel.com/Believe to play Daily Dingers and make your free pick on who's hitting a homer. Play ball and swing for the fences on FanDuel, an official partner of the MLB. 21 plus in select states. For Kansas in affiliation with Kansas Star Casino. 18 plus DC, Kentucky, Wyoming. No purchase necessary. Opt-in required. Bonus issued as a non-withdrawable profit boost tokens. Restrictions apply, including any token expiration and max wager amount. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or 1-800-MY-RESET. Call 1-888-789-7777. Visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut. Visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org. Call 800-327-5050 in Massachusetts. Call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY. Text HOPE-NY New York. Call 1-877-770-7867 in Louisiana.
All right, let's transition away from the golf, David. Let's get into some football, as we had some news yesterday, and that was the Minnesota Vikings have announced Kyler Murray as their starting quarterback for week number 1. And as somebody who is holding on to a Kyler Murray comeback player of the year ticket, I'm not shocked. This was a decision that I don't know why anybody is surprised by. I know that some people are like, well, there really wasn't a fair quarterback competition. Does there need to be? Like, J.J. McCarthy was one of the worst quarterbacks in football last year. Why does there need to be an open competition?
It's one of those situations where you start wondering what's next for J.J. McCarthy. And yeah, I mean, that was a good bet by you. Like, Kyler Murray had the inside edge from the beginning because Minnesota made the mistake last year. They made the mistake of not re-signing Sam Darnold and believing in J.J. McCarthy. They could have had Daniel Jones was on their roster. They could have kept Daniel Jones, and they decided to trust J.J. McCarthy. So if you're the front office in Minnesota, which I understand has gone through a whole bunch of turmoil, you had put your faith in J.J. McCarthy one too many times. Got to move on. Now, I'm not sure Kyler Murray would have been the move that I would have made, and I'm glad you have that ticket because he absolutely has the opportunity to do it. Not a big Kyler Murray guy, but at the end of the day, he's going to win this job. He has the chance to go out there. It's a tough division, but if he plays like the Kyler Murray we expected 5 or 6 years ago, they could be right there in the mix, and you would cash that ticket.
Yep, we got it at plus 650. Right now up on FanDuel, Kyler Murray down to plus 550. He overtakes Jaden Daniels as the second favorite behind Patrick Mahomes for the AP Comeback Player of the Year award. Mahomes plus 185 up on FanDuel as the favorite in a market that makes absolutely no sense because Patrick Mahomes cannot win this award. And if any voter votes for Patrick Mahomes to win this award, they should have their vote stricken from the record because if you play 14 games in an NFL season, you do not deserve to be on the Comeback Player of the Year award list for the following year. Kyler Murray played 5 games last year. Jaden Daniels played 8 games last year. Those are players that will be voted on to be the Comeback Player of the Year.
I will never understand this award. Quick story. I was in Vegas for the Super Bowl 2 years ago and did the red carpet NFL honor stuff. And it was Joe Flacco and Damar Hamlin. And I mean, Damar Hamlin died on the field and came back and played and thought that was kind of an automatic Comeback Player of the Year. I had the ticket as well. And I interviewed Joe Flacco on the red carpet and I still have the soundbite to this day. I'm like, hey, you're here, chances to win. And he gave me this grin that said, just glad I was invited here. I think we all know how this is going to end up. We're like, yeah. And, I was done with the red carpet. I wrote a couple of awards columns. And it's like, all right, we know who's going to win MVP. We know who's going to come back Player of the Year. Let's leave. And I'm walking out of resorts. And up on the TV, they announced Joe Flacco is the winner. And I was like, holy crapola. Yeah. And I had to make a U-turn, go back. He was stunned. So the award makes no sense. I mean, a guy died on the field and came back and played and doesn't win the award. Why not give it to Mahomes for missing, 16 quarters?
Well, it was that Flacco award-winning moment that led the NFLPA to send out the rules to its writers, to the AP, and say, hey, listen, whoever sent it out, they sent the memo out, the league sent the memo that said the AP Player of the Year award should be given to a player that misses significant time due to injury or other hardship that prevents them from playing. It's not coming back from retirement, which I see Aaron Donald on the list at plus 750, which is ridiculous. And it's not missing only 2 games at the end of the year. I'm sorry.
Wasn't there one year where Tom Brady was on the ballot and he hadn't missed any games, but because he retired, they said he could be comeback player of the year, and then someone prevented that from happening? It's like, no, you didn't miss any games. How are you a comeback?
It makes absolutely no sense. We're going to continue to talk about the awards market as we continue our 32 in 32 NFL team previews with today's team, the New York Football Giants. And I'll lead with the awards market, David, because head coach John Harbaugh is the favorite up on FanDuel to be the coach of the year at plus 650. And what do we know about coach of the year? Well, first off, you have to have some name recognition, right? Yes, some first-year head coaches do win. But you have to take a team that was underperforming before you got there or last season, and you have to exceed their expectations. The one hesitation that I would have with Harbaugh, and it's my question to you, is the Giants' expectations have been risen now. You know, their win total is 7.5. It's not 5.5. So if Harbaugh and the Giants, go 8-9 this year, people are going to say, oh, what a great turnaround from last year, but that's right on par with what the market expects them to do. Does that deserve to be the coach of the year? Like, I think if Harbaugh wins this award, or if Harbaugh is going to win this award, the Giants probably have to be a playoff team.
You would think so, and it lines up. There's a reason why he's the favorite. It lines up where it's a first-year coach taking over a team that, wins 3-4 games the year before, thinking they're going to turn it around. But the reason I don't like it, and you just said it, he's probably got to make them to the playoffs, win 9, 10, 11 games. I just don't see this team doing that. I don't like the number. We'll get into that in a second. I don't think they're going to go over their total. I don't like the team to begin with. And I did the Betting with Behrman podcast. We had the Ringers Raheem Palmer on earlier today breaking down this entire division. I told him that, if John Harbaugh can't take a much, much, much better Baltimore Ravens team last year to more than 8 wins, why would you think he'd be able to take this Giants team to 8 or 9 wins? I just don't think they're a very good team. You're dealing with Malik Neighbors, who has not played in a while due to his injury. You're dealing with Cam Scatto, who's coming off an injury. You're one more hit away from losing your quarterback, who runs around like he's Sonic the Hedgehog back there. Mm-hmm. They have a tough schedule looking at them. It's not like they played awesome last year with the same people. Now, can Harbaugh change the culture? Sure. I didn't think Brian Daboll was the problem there. Now, I wouldn't have wanted him to be my head coach, but you had plenty of issues. Signing Russell Wilson was a disaster. I'm just not a believer in this team. I don't have them winning 8 or more games. We'll talk about their over-under in a second. So I don't like Harbaugh to win coach of the year. Now, does he win it if he gets this team to 8 wins? He shouldn't at all. But I don't see them getting there anyway, so I'm not betting on the favorite to win when I don't think they win 8 games to begin with.
Yeah, 7.5 is their total. It's like I said, the expectation has risen, which is why I don't like Harbaugh plus 650 to be the coach of the year. Up on FanDuel, the Giants minus 320 to miss the playoffs. They're plus 260 to make the playoffs. Another comeback player of the year candidate could be Malik Neighbors. He is plus 1,900 right now. The Giants plus 600 to win their own division, the third favorite behind the Eagles and the Dallas Cowboys. I'm very curious what the offense is going to look like, David, because Matt Nagy comes over, and there was a time where Matt Nagy was a very heavily coveted offensive mind in this league. I think the performance last year in Kansas City kind of soured his reputation a bit. Obviously, the failed head coaching stint did that as well. But I'm curious how Jackson Dart thrives in a Matt Nagy offense, right? Like, do they want him to run the football? Are there going to be read option plays? Or is this going to be a downfield attacking team where Malik Neighbors is getting multiple deep shots per game? I don't know what this offense will look like.
No, and, it's a lot easier to be a genius offense coordinator when Patrick Mahomes is behind center.
Yeah.
Now, with the Giants, let's hypothetically say Nagy gets Jackson Dart to play a little bit more under control. And Malik Neighbors comes back from injury and there's no rust there and he goes right back to being a top flight receiver. And, Scatteraboo comes back from his injury and keeps his head on straight and runs right up the middle for a bunch of touchdowns. They have a decent defense. Then yes, if all those things line up, then this is a team that could do some damage this year. But that's a lot of ifs, Scott, a lot of ifs. And you got a quarterback who runs like his head's about to fall off. You got a running back who has had 4-game stint where all of a sudden he was all world and then he got injured. And a receiver, he's coming off his first major injury. New offense coordinator, new head coach. I do think the Giants will be better just by the sheer nature that they have Harbaugh and Nagy, but I'm not sold that they have the right personnel to get what everyone. I live in the New England and New York area. I surround myself with Patriots and Giants fans. The team I coach out there in youth football is all Giant fans. Slow your roll.
Yeah.
Harbaugh is a very good coach, but also hasn't done squat the last couple of years with a much more talented, if anything. Harbaugh is no longer in Baltimore because he underachieved with more talented teams.
Yes.
Didn't keep Lamar Jackson happy. And, you got Lamar Jackson, you should win a little bit more than you do. So I'm not sold on the whole Harbaugh phenomenon right now. Someone would say, well, did you want him in Miami? Of course I wanted him in Miami. But I'm not sure that this is the right team. Now, that doesn't mean 3 years from now they're not winning the division he's built up like he built the Ravens and they're great again. I'm just not there yet this year, and I don't think they're a very good team.
The Giants were actually in the news yesterday on Tuesday because of some quotes made by Matt Nagy about their practice. According to Jordan Renan, who covers the Giants for ESPN, Matt Nagy said there's going to be highs and lows with Jackson Dart with the offense as they learn a new scheme. And they are trying to get as many plays on tape as possible to see what works. And as for practice on Tuesday, Nagy said, quote, average practice, below average, not good enough about Jackson Dart and his performance during the practice. So interesting. I don't know what to read into that.
I think what people have to keep in mind, go back a couple of years. Yes, last year, Jackson Dart, it was Jackson Dart mania, then it was Cam Scatteraboo mania. Keep in mind, neither one of those guys were drafted to be the starter there in New York. You had Russell Wilson for a reason. You had quarterbacks before that. Jackson Dart, not a high early pick, was not drafted to be the future. Cam Scatteraboo, mid-round pick, not drafted to be the future. And all of a sudden, these guys stepped up last year, had a good 4 to 6 weeks, and everybody thought that, hey, this is the team of the future. Maybe they're not that good to begin with, and that's what I'm worried about with the Giants. I'm not telling you that again, I heard it all last year with Jackson Dart, the Giants are going to make no, they're not. They're not. They're not. Harbaugh will make them better. Nagy will make them better, but they're just not there yet. Think about what Harbaugh had in Baltimore compared to what he has in New York.
Yeah. No, that's a great point. I'll tell you one name I'm actually pretty excited about, though, on this team, and I might be looking at it from a prop perspective. I don't know if I'll do a season-long thing, but something with, on an in-game, per-game basis. Isaiah Likely. John Harbaugh brings him over from the Ravens. He is now going to be the starting tight end for the New York Giants. We saw what Jackson Dart did with his tight ends last year, Theo Johnson, et cetera. So I could see Isaiah Likely actually being a pretty big part of this Giants offense, and I'll be looking for his props on a week-in, week-out basis.
I do like the Likely play because Harbaugh has used them before, and he knows what to do with that, and I think that's a easy thing for Jackson Dart to hit when you're still worried about your wide receivers. The two that I played is first of all, I played the under 7.5 wins. You look at their schedule, the ones that you could chalk up as likely wins would be Tennessee, Arizona, Washington, New Orleans, and Cleveland. Those are home winnable games. If you get those 5, say you go 5-0, you still need 3 more wins. And I don't see that with road trips to LA, Houston, Philly, Indy, Seattle, Detroit, and Dallas. To me, looking at the schedule, 7-10 is the limit for this team, which still would be a decent season in New York if they went 7-10, considering what they had. The other one I'm playing, Scott, is under on Jackson Dart's passing yards, simply because I don't think he's going to stay healthy. and it's 3,150.5 yards at FanDuel Sportsbook. Forget about the injuries for a minute. Just look at the numbers. He averaged 189.3 yards per game in his 12 starts last year. Projecting that over 17 games would get you to 3,200, which is right there at the number, right over the total, and that's with 17 games. Do you think Jackson Dart is playing 17 games? Maybe his numbers go up with a new OC, sure, but is Jackson Dart playing 15 games? All it takes is one concussion, and you got this under locked up.
All right, so that'll wrap up our 32 and 32 preview of the New York Football Giants. Coming up tomorrow, AJ Hoffman begins his weekly appearances as he will join us each and every Thursday on the Better Day podcast. We will preview the Dallas Cowboys. Why? Well, because AJ covers the Dallas Cowboys down there in Texas. So we'll have plenty of Cowboys discussion on tomorrow's show. Also coming up tomorrow, the Better Day Football Show streams at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific time on the Better Day Twitter page and the Better Day YouTube channel. Make sure you are following us there. Myself, Steve Fezzik, and Joshua Nunn. We will have the first of our Thursday live streams coming up tomorrow. David, thanks so much for being with us, as you will in your weekly Wednesday morning spots. What do you have coming up on the Betting with Behrman pod and BehrmanBets.com?
Yeah, if you want the newsletter 3 days a week right now at BehrmanBets.com, we redesigned the newsletter a few weeks ago, and I redesigned the homepage recently. Go to BehrmanBets.com to sign up for it. Check it out, look around. It's under construction, but I've gotten a lot done recently for it. Get that newsletter 3 days a week. Betting with Behrman podcast, we're in the middle of just like you, going team by team. We're going division by division on the Betting with Behrman NFL betting preview. We had the AFC North and the NFC West last week with Ben Baby and Amber Wilson, both from ESPN. On Tuesday, the Ringer's Raheem Palmer joined me to talk all things NFC East, including the Giants, including the Cowboys, including the Eagles. This coming Thursday, make sure to tune in. Joe DeLeon from 247 Sports will be the college football betting preview, and that's 2 weeks before we have Chris the Bear Felica from Fox Sports on to talk about college football win totals and picks. I'd be remiss if I didn't tell you that Scott Seidenberg is going to be on the show August 20th, talking NFC North. That's a week from Thursday. Make sure you tune in every Tuesday and Thursday, the Betting with Behrman podcast, with absolute outstanding guests like yourself and others.
And follow David on Twitter at David Behrman. Again, BehrmanBets.com. The Better Day mobile app is available on Apple and Android. Make sure you download it where you can and check out everything we have to offer up on BetterDay.com as well. For David Behrman, I'm Scott Seidenberg. Here's hoping you make today and every day a better day.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.